back in the Lighthouse Diary, Outdoors Edition, completely different angle, thanks to the tripod. I'm still undecided on what to name the tripod, but yeah, I had a name and then I had another one, and then it just completely went over my head, so I don't know. If you have a suggestion, feel free to let me know any name suggestions for the tripod. Um, yeah, I think someone forgot to. Okay. Yeah, something to do with somebody's car lock. But anyway, or whatever it was. Whew. Yeah, did I tell you already that, like, let me know if you like this angle? Um, but yeah, if I haven't already, yeah, just let me know if you like angles like this, where like you could see my arms move a little more. Okay, so it wasn't too long ago that I um, recorded something, but the thing was I wasn't showing my face, and I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, it's been at least a year since I checked out comic books from the library. And so what I decided to do was, okay, because I miss it so much, sorry for the honking, I figured, okay, let me get two instead of one comic book, because, yeah, for the longest time I put off renewing my library card. But yeah, I finally got around to it, and I don't know what came over me. Like, it clearly showed on the sticker for both of them that they were both autobiographies. It completely went over my head. I just saw the art style for both of these books, and I thought to myself, like, I like the art style for both of them. I'm going to check them out right away. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I read the description for both of them, but I guess I completely forgot that they were both autobiographies. And here's the thing, though. I don't have anything against autobiographies. Growing up, I was actually a bit of a fan of autobiographies, but I don't know. Actually, I do know the reason why, and I think I'll save that for another day. But yeah, I'm not gonna mention which comic books these are because I don't want to give a bad name to the authors or to their work, because the thing is that I really do think that they're both very talented people from what I've seen so far. I haven't seen everything that they've done, but from what I've seen uh, in these two comic books anyway, I thought to myself, like, they're very talented people, very talented artists, so I don't want to bash them or anything like that. Uh, it's Invader Zim, by the way. Hey. But yeah, this is not sponsored by Invader Zim. It's not sponsored by Hot Topic. It's just here. I actually do use it. Um, it was a gift from my folks. So here's the thing. When it comes to autobiographies and stuff like that, it takes so much courage to be vulnerable and to share, you know, the events in your life that, were really hard or like really embarrassing or really heartbreaking, or very challenging. And I'm not going to take that away from anybody, and clearly I can't, right? And honestly, I'm not going to lie, there were some stuff, in those books that I I could relate to on a personal level. I mean, it's bound to happen because they're human beings, I'm a human being. They both so happen to be female, I'm also female. And yeah, so we're going to go through some similar stuff for that reason. Um, but here's where I felt like a bit of personal dissonance. Again, it's like nothing against them. It was just, it was just me, basically. Where I don't know. I don't want to accuse anybody, but I was just getting a bit of uh, I wouldn't say triggers. Okay, I was triggered sometimes. I mean, it's bound to happen because these are autobiographies are of a very personal nature. But yeah, what made me cringe, unfortunately, from both of them was this feeling of, um, I mean, not to accuse like the authors slash illustrators. I was getting this vibe of like, oh, I'm so quirky. If only someone can understand me for my quirkiness, then all will be well and everything will be right in my life. Is basically the vibe that I was getting from both stories, and I'm just thinking to myself, you know what? Part of me can't judge that because there's quite a number of us, both male and female, who do go through that phase. Excuse me for, I don't mean to like belittle their stories or belittle their lives or anything like that, but quite a number of us, and I'm pretty sure you've seen like for myself where it's just, we, some of us would have like this moment in time where it's just like, oh, if only, you know, people understood what makes me so special. You know what I mean? But yeah, don't you worry because there were plenty of times in my life where I was forced to be humbled and realize that like, hey, I'm not a snowflake. I'm pretty much just like everybody else, except the difference with me is that I struggle more than the average person. But other than that, like I'm not a snowflake, and I'm not gonna lie, I was struggling to accept that for some time uh, during the lockdown. But yeah, don't you worry. I checked myself. I checked myself, and I try to check myself off camera too. Not just when I'm talking with you, and not just when I'm missing talking with you and that kind of thing. But yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing though. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel special. It's just the way that it came across in the autobiography comic books was, I don't know, like the perspectives just felt so filtered in a way. I'm not saying that you have to vomit all of the events that, you know, you were uncomfortable with in your life. If there are certain things that you're not comfortable sharing, I totally understand not sharing those things. Um, but yeah, I just felt for both books that, there's this very, um, there's this very prominent narrative, you know what I mean, that was being like pushed to the reader a little bit. It was a little propaganda-ish, in my humble opinion. I'm not saying that every reader who's going to come across these books is going to feel that way. It was just how it felt for me at this point in time in my life. Honestly, I won't even lie to you. I was downtown, right? And I was finishing the shorter story out of the two. And I was just cringing so hard. I couldn't take it anymore. I literally started crying. I was just like, oh my gosh, I just can't with this book. I can't. I just want to throw it in the garbage. Not that these books aren't executed, you know, pretty well. They just weren't the most comforting comic books for me personally. I typically seek out comic books as a form of refuge, so it was just, yeah. Another thing though, this wasn't the first time that I read a comic book that was autobiographical. Um, and the funny thing was, um, when I was reading that very first um, comic autobiography before these two that I'm talking about right now, I was basically in a similar place in life from the perspective of that author back in the day. So it's just like it was hard for me to be triggered or like offended or anything like that. So like that was an okay experience, and I guess I kind of assumed to myself like, okay, that was a fine experience. I think I can enjoy these ones too, but it just wasn't the case. It was not, and but yeah, that's not to take away from the struggles and the triumphs of these artists that put their life, or at least the most significantly steamed events from their life, out into the world. Um, and what they did was a very courageous thing. It's just, oof. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get a little more specific as to why I was, feeling like rubbed the wrong way from these books. So for the first one that I read, the longer one, um, it felt very like, oh, this is what a real feminist should be. You know what I mean? I was very uncomfortable with that. Um, and then like the second one was very, in my opinion, very stereotypical of a description of what an introvert is. And in reality, there extroversion and introversion, there's like a whole spectrum in both of them, and there's so much overlap between the two. It's just, ooh, it was just, ooh, I just, ooh, oh my gosh, yeah, the long and short of it is what made me super, super uncomfortable for both of them was that both stories, let's be honest, like they are, portrayed in a certain way. So you're not going to be able to see everything about a person's life. Let's be honest, right? No offense, no offense. But both stories felt so tropey to me, and it's just, I'm not saying that whoever is an author that you have to, represent 100% of, your target get demographic or whatever that is. I'm not saying that. You don't have to be the actual, you know, perfect physical manifestation of, like a group of people and what they stand for. You don't have to be, okay? It's just, yeah. Not that there weren't things that I resonated with, like I mentioned before, but yeah, I just felt like these challenges that, these authors went through, it felt way too oversimplified for me. And okay, I mean no disrespect. I don't want to like say anything bad about their lives or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying, but I've seen fictional characters that would have more depth in their story, in their, challenges that they're overcoming. Like you actually there's actual intimacy with the reader there. And yet that experience that I can have with a fictional character, whether it's in a comic book, in a regular novel, in a video game, for some strange reason, I wasn't able to feel that with these two very real people, and I feel really bad about that. And again, like, it could just be me. It could just be me. Maybe the way that their narrative style, it just doesn't click with me, but the narrative style, it's very reminiscent to how other people would talk and how they would express themselves to their friends. But as I'm like reading like both both stories, I'm just like, I would never speak to a friend this way. I mean, like, not to make myself like all uppity and like that, but you know how it is in the Lighthouse Diary, okay? Okay, I won't lie. Mama Lighthouse is getting a little thirsty. Mama Lighthouse getting a little thirsty. So, um, as usual, thank you for hanging out with me. I know this was very blah, 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 blah. I yeah, I hope that you also enjoyed this new setup. Well, like this new experimentation of a setup, and let me know what you think. Stay safe, stay cozy, stay sincere to your complex, in-depth self. And today I'm not gonna hit that note because I'm thirsty. So until next time, in the next Lighthouse Diary entry.